This is the Birth and Truth podcast where guests spill their unvarnished, honest, and naked truth.
I am back, Bluez.
And I'm Courtney Elaine.
What's it you claiming, girl?
I am drained. What about you?
Fed up and done had enough. Why you drained, sister?
Man, you know what? They got that saying, drink water and mind your business. Apparently, I ain't been drinking enough water.
I'm minding your damn business. What it sound like to me for you to be all drained?
Shut your mouth. Why you feeling the way you feeling? Let a sister know.
Just because it seems like I have the same problems in my life, but with different people. Like, what the? I think it's me.
It's not them, it's you.
What they say, if it stank everywhere we go, then damn it, it must be
damn
you.
It must be you.
That's what I'm starting to think. Because it seems like the goodness that Vincent is. Okay. Other people don't know that, and they start jumping out the way and acting certain ways and being certain ways that I'm just not willing to put up with in my life at this very tender age that I am.
Tender.
Tender.
Tender with all the
This tender age that I am not willing to put up with it. So, I guess going through life, you just gotta keep on, you know what I'm saying? And you might have people being there for a season. Who said that? Somebody. People in your life a season.
Yep.
So sometimes you just gotta roll with that season of change.
And I noticed you've been Facebook beefing lately.
Girl, I wasn't Facebook beefing with that mother. Girl, don't make me cuss. People be saying crazy stuff to me, but you know what? I just don't even listen. I be trying to be good.
You fly above the haters.
I fly above all the drama. I fly above. I fly above. It's beneath me.
It's beneath you. It's beneath you.
Candy Burber said, but no. And all I do is if I do start beefing, I just delete the comment, delete the post, and we can move on with our life.
Well, there you go.
As if it never happened, and you can do that in real life too when your lease is up. As if it never happened.
Ooh. Baby, okay. I know nothing because I know too much and understand not nearly enough and never will. That is a quote by Anne Rice.
Ooh.
Which brings
Anne Rice wrote, Anne Rice wrote Queen of the Damned.
That movie with Aaliyah?
I would like to say the books, like the whole book series.
But listen, that's what it made me think about. And I'm going to tell you something about that movie. I bought that movie on DVD. Well, actually, remember back in the day when you can do that thing
you
where
got it for free. You paid a penny for it. So whatever you about to complain about, be careful, Lord.
You a hater. Listen, we're not gonna get into the logistics of how I got the DVD. We just gonna say I bought that DVD for my penny. And when I went to play that DVD, it did not work. So I never saw that movie. And I'm mad about that. Although everybody and their mama did say it wasn't a good movie.
And now you mad at Anne Rice. Sister, what
This
segment this bring us? What segment this
brings
bring
us
us to,
to
sister?
our GED segment of the show. You know, where we discuss the latest thing that we got our GED in. So, what'd you get your GED in?
So, I was running around here thinking that Idris Elba's new wife name was Rebecca Elba. And I say it don't make no sense for her name to be Rebecca Elba. That don't even sound good together. So I looked it up to see, and I was completely wrong. Her name is Sabrina Elba. And then finding that out, I found out this man had been married 3 times.
Mm. Mm.
He married to Sabrina now, but he was married to Sonia Nicole. I forgot her last name. I ain't write it down. But he was married to her from 2006 to 2006. That was
You
fast.
stupid.
But
You
before that, he was
stupid.
married to a woman named, I guess her name is Hannah. That's what I'm calling her, but it's Hanne. I don't want to call her Aunt Han because that ain't cute. Yeah,
So
so
you
her
gave
name
her
Hannah.
whatever name you wanted her to have.
Hannah. Hen.
Hen.
Hen. Because it's from, but he was married to her from 1993 to 2003. I mean, 1999 to 2003. So I think that was the real marriage and relationship because that was kind of before he was like all popping, which is one of the reasons Sonya said that they kind of broke up because people was like, you popping, you supposed to be this sex symbol, and here you is married to Sonya Nicole. So that's why I got my GED in. It just Elba's wives.
Mm. And what? Why were you looking at her?
Because remember, I was calling her Rebecca Elba. Why was I calling her Rebecca Elba?
Why were we even talking about Idris Elba? I
Because
don't even
I
remember.
made the comment. Remember about
Oh,
we ain't gotta talk about all that. We ain't gotta talk about all that, Courtney. Damn.
I forget our stupid conversations. Oh my God. You dumb.
Mm. So, girl, what you got your old GED in?
Oh man. So I got my GED in. Um, the question came to mind whether or not cutting your name off of your birthday cake was really a superstition that was like real, like, or if it was just something that Black people made up. Because I noticed in my family, when it's your birthday and you got your cake, everybody sing happy birthday or whatever. When it comes down to cutting the cake, it's always this big deal, like, don't cut my name.
Yeah, we
And
kind of
I
cut
was
around
just,
the name.
you cut all around the name as if underneath the name it isn't any cake. Or if cutting the name is bad luck or if it's gonna hurt you. And I was just like, why is that? Well, I went online looking for the answer and found everything but that answer. So that led me to believe that there is really nothing behind that. It's just a thing. Like, I feel like people are obsessed with, it's a narcissistic thing. Like, it's my name, it's my birthday, it's my. People think when it's their birthday, it's just their birthday. It's not just your birthday. You're not the only person born on that day, but it becomes this thing where it's just like my on that day. So I think it goes along with that. You don't want people to cut your name, whatever reason. But yeah,
That's crazy. But
yeah.
just, okay, but let that midnight hit and that sweet tooth hit. They greeted behind being there cutting that name then.
Cutting their name. I
Right.
think it's a thing like, you don't cut my name. I can cut my name, but you
Yeah.
can't. And
Cause
if
it's show gonna say happy birthday. Nick.
Nick,
you know your ass. I cuss. You know you gonna go up in there, and you gonna
I'm gonna
that
eat my
cake.
cake. You know I'm gonna eat my cake. But the thing is that I am normally the one that doesn't really care if you cut my name. And so that's another reason why I wanted to know, is there really, do you really receive bad luck if your name is cut? No, the answer is no. The answer is no,
Girl,
people.
and you done got your whole GED.
My whole GED. So now I know when my birthday come around, I can just eat the
In
cake
less than a week.
in less than a week.
We should
Yep.
do something. We should do something on Birth and Truth for your birthday real fast.
We'll talk about that.
That's how we got our GED. Gilbert K. Chesterton says, all slang is metaphor and all metaphor is poetry. Which brings us to our country word of the day segment.
I like
Which
that.
is, I know, me too.
That was a good quote.
What is today's word?
Urge. Today's country word is urge.
So the definition of urge is a color combination of red and yellow, right? So obviously in English that is orange. Can you use orange in a sentence?
What's your favorite fruit? Because mine is orange.
It sounds so funny to hear you say it. Oh my God.
I know I'm struggling.
She's like really trying her hardest to say orange.
I'm struggling.
Orange.
I'm saying
Let's
it from my
see.
gut.
I know that's how orange is supposed to be. So you can't just say orange. You got orange. You gotta pull it. You gotta drag it out. And if you gotta look at the spelling of it. ERRRRRNA. That means NCH. So let me try to use orange in a sentence. Oh, this is like true tea. I messed around and drank all my orange juice. Because you know, when you ain't had orange juice in a while, you just drink it. I just took, man, I'm glad I accidentally bought two. Because on my Amazon Fresh, I accidentally pushed quantity two. Because I tore that orange juice up. Now, when I was little, I thought that orange juice was orange juice. Orange juice. That's how I used to say it. Orange juice. And orange is mostly, it can mostly be heard in Louisiana where I was born. And who do you think says orange? Anybody you know, a celebrity, a friend, family member?
Monica keeps on popping up in our episodes. When we get to the country word of the day.
Man, and she
Monica, my
actually
cousin
responded
Monica.
on the other one.
I know, because Monica watched the show. Shout out to Monica.
Shout out to Monica. Monica probably does say orange. I mean, I don't think that she wouldn't.
I, be- I believe in my spirit that Monica says orange.
Love me some Monica. Love me some
I know,
Monica
right?
because she's just gonna be her regardless.
Unapologetically
Mm-hmm.
herself. And I love
Right.
everything about it, every single bit of it.
If anybody say orange, maybe if I think about a celebrity, maybe I don't know, I think Tiffany Haddish say orange.
Really?
Yeah, it should look like she say orange.
She look like that. Yeah, she look like
She cut
that.
all her hair out too. I don't know if you saw that, but that ain't got nothing to do with this.
Yeah, I saw, but I didn't see her hair.
Girl, ball boots.
Does Whoopi Goldberg say orange?
I don't think Whoopi says orange.
In the confines of her own home, does she say orange?
No, no. Pass me the orange juice. I don't think this is all orange.
Was that your Whoopi Goldberg impression? You know
I
I
was
love
just
Whoopi
trying to think of
Goldberg.
her. Pass me the, no. Maybe Nelly.
Nelly. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
He
all my
looked like he say
cousins.
orange.
All my
All your
cousins,
cousins.
except my cousin Nicole, because my cousin Nicole kind of she's proper now. So she proper now. So she wouldn't probably say that. But maybe some of the rest of them. That's so funny. So it's our country word of the day. Comment and tell us how you say orange or who you think say orange. I also think that low key, our guest on this episode, Akeem, says orange in privacy. That's just what I think. But yeah, comment who you think says orange. May it be a celebrity or your family member or yourself. And that's our country word of the day.
Today's guest would like you to know that he is 6'3". He is Black, and he is a martial artist. Let's welcome Akeem to the show.
Akeem Olaj. Hey, man. So first of all, we would like for you to claim your set. What set you repping, bro?
I represent this tasty orange I'm digesting currently.
And you is, let me tell you, you is tearing it up.
Did you hear what his
I did.
Said? That's funny because that's our country word of the day.
Our country word of the day today is orange. And I said that I think that you say orange because we asked like, you say orange.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did not say orange.
See,
I thought
that he would say right. I thought that he would say orange, like we say in my hometown.
Nah, I'm from New Orleans. Our dialect sways between proper and hood, depending on what you're talking about.
Man, there'll be no proper in there. I ain't heard no proper. But
you just did. You heard me say what correctly? Orange.
That's
so you
still
did
not
hear
right,
proper.
That is that's still not right.
That is right.
No, it's
you're the
orange.
only one that says it is incorrect.
No,
you're the only one on the planet. The only one on the planet. It's just you that says it.
I say orange, and you don't say orange.
I say orange.
Anyway, this thing that dropped out my ear. Anyway, seek
greatness.
Seek not greatness, but seek truth, and you will find both. This is a quote from Horace Mann. This is our Truthism segment where we discuss things that affect our community, and that's, what's that, Courtney?
The truth root.
That's
Today's
the truth
truism.
root.
Today's truism addresses the definition of masculinity in the Black community. So, what is considered not masculine? Who is pushing what masculinity is, in men or women? What do you guys think?
Both. It's a circular stereotype that perpetuates and feeds itself, and both the men and women do it. Both. I've heard many times growing up when a little boy is crying, the mom and the dad say, "Stop crying, man up." So it's like it's the same thing coming from both ways. When I first told my mom I was bi, she just assumed that I was going to be completely trans, and she was like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, well, you like that? You're just going to go all the way to that end. It's you have to be, you have to be a man. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, I'm not changing the way I act. I'm just letting you know information. And actually, I didn't even let her know. My sister let my mom know. My sister
Mhm.
low key outed me, but that's neither here or there.
Oh,
So I don't know. I think just from what I can see, I
So
feel like that women kind of push what masculinity is, and men kind of adhere to that. Because
not necessarily.
I have a lot of straight friends, and around me and other friends that are straight or not, um, they act a certain way.
Hmm.
And there are certain things that they will do around us that they will never do in front of a woman.
Hmm. That's true.
So yeah, so I feel like the
I
woman
have a
is
lot of
like,
straight friends too, and they say they like to hang around me because they can't notice I'm gay, so don't make them feel strange.
right, right, but what does that
mm.
mean though?
I don't understand that either. I'm like, well, I still like when I say, well, I can't tell you're gay. I'm like, according to my girlfriend that me and my partner have, I don't know if that's a true definition. So,
Right,
mm, you know,
right,
but that's neither here or there.
right.
It's
But
the same thing. It's like
masculinity,
masculinity is very much like sexuality. People try to define it and have a hard set line of what is and what isn't, and the line is really blurred. It's a spectrum, just like all things. We have stereotypical masculinity, and you have actual masculinity. Stereotypical masculinity is a performative. Um, Actual masculinity, I feel, is an actual experience and how you actually interact and go throughout the world, and how you handle your responsibilities.
right? You think like, because to me masculinity has nothing to do with sexuality. And
No, it doesn't.
so, right, I've seen a lot of I know a lot of straight men who on a masculine scale is like all the way on, let's say, this end, and then I know some gay men who are all the way on this end as far as masculinity. And you would think that this guy is way more masculine than this guy, but it has nothing to do with their sexual preference.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's where the lines get crossed. That people seem to think that just because that your masculinity has something to do with your sexual preference, and I don't think that that has anything to do with it. It has nothing to do with each other. Yeah.
Well, Courtney, with you being um, a woman, what do you think about, like, are there certain things that a man just cannot do that will make you kind of side out, like, wait a minute, brother, what's going on?
Um, I can't think of anything right now. No,
No, but
no,
that's
not
good
that I
because
can think of.
yeah, because I know a lot of women, and it's like certain ways that men dress, as if women weren't told how to dress. You know, they were told like you got to dress like this or dress like that, but then there's certain ways they be like, oh no, he can't wear this, that, this or that. You know,
And that is
and
actually a brand new phenomenon, because if you go back not even like 300 years, just 250 years, men wear skirts and dresses just like women. Like the clothes were a lot more unisex like than you would like to think, especially for children. So our specific preference for what a man is supposed to wear and what a woman is supposed to wear is relatively new. That's why people tend to look at Scottish people with their kilts stupid, because they don't understand the culture. That's an old way that they used to go to war with kilts. Like they used to fight with kilts
Hmm.
on. Even in Romans, they used to fight with a skirt on. Like they didn't even have underwear; it was just a skirt because they needed to kick. So it's like when you think about and these people have swords. It's the most masculine thing. They're actually driving a sword through somebody's, body, and they have on the skirt. So it's like when you think about what is your definition of masculinity, what clothes are masculine and what clothes isn't, that's really a relatively new phenomenon. And then when you look at, and when I say new, I mean new as far as like the span of human existence, that we gendered clothes and things like that.
I think for me personally, it really doesn't matter because I think it has a lot to do with me being an artist, and I feel like that's a part of expressing yourself. So for me, it doesn't matter what you have on because it's an extension of who you are. So.
Right. Yeah, you have always like the guys that do the weird things. You're like, oh, look at him.
Yeah, it's nice. You can put some colors together. You know what colors match, and like you can put a nice outfit together. That's I like that.
It's just like that. That's hot.
Yeah.
So, a question I want to know is, when do a grown man feel comfortable enough to sit with his legs crossed? With the thigh meat hanging out. Showing the thigh meat.
It depends on how flexible that man is, because I have hamlocks of legs, and they only go so much of a cross before they start crushing my nuts and my penis. So it's like that's not too much crossing of legs over here. It just depends on the actual person. So when I sit down, I'll just sit with my legs on the ground, like I can't pick them up and cross because I'll be crushing something. So it just depends on the person. And why does that matter? Some men sit with their legs crossed. Some women sit with their legs crossed. Why does that matter?
The reason why it's even brought up is because when men sit like that, it's been known to be said that is feminine. So that's why we're bringing it up because, because we have heard that people think that it's feminine. So that's the only reason why it's come up. Exactly.
If you look at old interviews from the 60s, right? And I'm talking about like 80 years ago. A lot of men, when they sit, they cross the legs. It wasn't until like the 80s, 90s that paradigm shift and be like, oh, that's a feminine trait. You can't do that. All this stuff
one of the things that's
my point. All this shit is created. Like all this shit is created and created recently. Like this is not like some age-old structure that we try to fit in. This is some new shit that we're trying to do, and we're trying to convince ourselves that this is how it's always been. But that's not true. That's just like slavery. That convinced the slaves you guys was always slaves. That wasn't true.
Right.
That convinced like these white people in America is convinced that this is their country. America stole this country. You're on occupied land currently.
That's true.
So it's like when you think about it's all like essentially how you look at it and how you view it, and society views changes.
Right. We've noticed that mostly older men will feel comfortable sitting like that.
Because they're from that generation where it didn't matter.
Right.
Exactly.
They're from that generation, that's what I'm saying. So like when you look at the time, that's something recent. That is something absolutely recent. I know men with 15 different children that sit with his legs crossed.
Right. Yeah. And see, now I've started to sit with my legs crossed like that because it's kind of comfortable. But the difference is I have no thigh meat. So I can just do it. I'm just like this with mine. I'm like this with mine because I don't got no thigh meat. So
my thigh meat, my thighs are so big, and COVID made my thighs grow so much during quarantine that I got fitted from my wedding tux. My wedding got postponed for 2 months. We were supposed to get married in March. Me and my partner, me and him got married in May. In May, when I put on those pants that I got fitted for my wedding, I could not get them up past my knee. I had to go get them altered and have more fabric added on to the inside, the inside seam. And that was in May. Now I can no longer fit those pants again. So now I have to take those pants back and I'm just going to say, you know what, just cut them and just add all types of fabric. Just give me a 40 wide. Apparently, I'm at that age where my thighs and my ass is spreading and I'm getting fat. I'm just gonna have to, I'm just gonna have to just roll with it and just dress appropriately because that's just life. Now I'm going to try to fight that. I'm going to try to fight that as of next week. I'm trying to change my eating this week, and the next week I'm going to start exercising for an hour every morning and see if I could reverse the spread of my ass and my thighs. But it might not happen because genes, and I'm in my 30s. So,
well, Courtney, we just had this conversation where I told you I was trying to put on weight, and then you said you're going to have to jump to get in your jeans, and I was like, I will never have to jump to get in my jeans because
I
my
used to
body
think the
ain't
same
made.
thing. I used to think the same thing. COVID-19 showed me something different. COVID was like, all right, you don't have to jump to get in your jeans. I'm going to have you just sit. Just sit for 2 months and now try to put on those jeans. You're jumping now, ain't you? That's what COVID did
That
to
is
me.
so funny.
That's what COVID did to me. You're jumping now.
Wow. So as we addressed it, the definition of masculinity in the Black community um, has definitely changed, I think, over the years, because now we can definitely talk about jumping to get in our jeans too, right? And that, so that is our truisms, and that is the true root.
We have now entered our Spill the Truth segment. Nothing in the world is harder than speaking the truth. Nothing easier than flattery. And that quote is by
So we have a joke where we can never say some of the people who quoted this stuff, but the quote is real. His name is Fyodor Dostoevsky. That's close
boy
enough.
has
You know what?
okay.
The reason I'm not laughing at that is because white people butcher black people names all the time. So I'm like,
Thank
whenever we get
you.
that name said correctly, I'd be like, oh fucking well. You should have had an American name. Hmm.
Yeah. Give
I
it to
love
him. Give him that eye.
Oh
That
Lord, I
is
love it.
hilarious.
So, Akeem, you must first take an oath, okay?
I don't take oaths.
So, well, you must first repeat after me.
Okay.
Even if my truth offend the people that I love,
Even if something love, truth offend,
I promise to spill the whole truth,
I promise to spill part of the truth that I want to say.
the buck to truth,
The dentures, the veneers, the Invisalign,
and nothing but the truth,
and nothing but the tea that's going to be spilled.
the tea that's gonna be spilled, because that's how it showed up in my life.
Hmm.
He said, Now he gonna look. He don't want to do the oath, but he gonna get on here and do exactly what he said. Watch.
Oh, we asked you 3 words that describe your past. These are your 3 words.
You said strategic, and Webster would describe that as pertaining to or categorized by the nature of making a plan, method, or series of maneuvers for obtaining a specific goal or result. I like that definition. You said terrified, which is to be filled with terror or alarm, to become greatly afraid. And you also said naive, which is having or showing a lack of experience, judgment, or information. Also, it says credulous.
So tell us, why is it so important that our audience knows that you are Black? Explain that for me, please.
Um, I feel like the Black American experience, regardless of how you started out, whether you immigrated here and you became Black once you got to the States, because ironically, they don't call Black people Black most places. They just call them wherever they're from, like Ethiopian or Nigerian or, you know, just like we do, Caucasians, we call them Irish or Italian. They do that to Black people everywhere else in the country, but here in America. So when I say why it's important to, for Black people in the United States to claim the Black experience, because that's the experience that's going to happen to us whether we want to or not, right? It's easier to identify what's happening to you if you could put a name to it. So it'll be different. Let's say if you was walking here not knowing, just imagine this for a second. You grew up Black from another country, not knowing you're Black. And then you come here and nobody tells you you're Black. And then people start treating you crazy. You don't know what's going on.
Right.
Unless somebody tells you you're Black. But then once you be like, oh, they're treating me like I'm Black, that's the experience. That's the experience that this country is going to give to you, whether you want it or not, based on how you look. So that's why I like to claim that I'm Black. I even go as far just to piss off some Africans to say I'm African American. Because because like a lot of Africans that I know, not all of them, by far not all of them, but some I know would say, oh, well, you can't say African American because you're not from Africa. I'm like, okay, are you from Africa? Well, yes, I'm from Ghana. Okay, you're Ghanaian American.
That's true. Yeah. That's
Oh,
true.
well, where you from? Nigeria? Well, you're Nigerian American. I'm referring to a continent. You're from a country. I don't know where I'm from. You do. That's what African American stands for. If you know where you're from, then you're like, if you're from Ghana, then you're Ghanaian American. You're not African American. I'm African American because I don't know where the fuck I came from. So don't try to take words, like don't come over here and try to take words out of my mouth, because that's not going to happen, ever.
I never even thought about it like that we say African American because we don't know where we're from specifically. And then they're Nigerian American.
Yeah, but they say, oh, well, you can't call yourself African American. You don't even know what that means. You're basically saying we can't say that we were stolen from Africa, but we were.
We were. Wow.
Now that's the truth.
So what are we trying to erase here? That we wasn't stolen? Oh, we was definitely stolen.
Definitely.
But didn't Jesse Jackson come up with that term, African American?
Yes, because they was calling us Negro.
Yeah.
Which is like an offset of nigger. It was like, we're gonna remove what we call ourselves from that word. That was like colored. I was like, that's just, they was using that derogatory too. You can't go out there with the colors. So it's like, we're not going to call ourselves derogatory names. So we say African American.
Right. And then also.
And that's what I started to say, go back to Africa. And then I said, okay, tell me which part I'm going. Tell me which part I'm going to. And since you want me to go, since I didn't bring myself here and your ancestors brought me here, I think it's up to you to pay my rate back there and also to buy me property so I could stay. Because that's what you did to my ancestors. You took them from their property and put them on your property. So if you want me to get off your country, you need to take me off of your country and put me on the country I came from. Good luck doing that fucking research.
So they say, you can tell that they think Negro is a derogatory term because they don't want to say it now. They whisper it, or they even whisper Black. They be like, right. They be like, he's Black. Like, you ain't got to whisper that. We know that. So, Akeem, you said that you were terrified. What made you so terrified in your past?
In my past, I've been, and this is something that I've really been able, the longer I've been alive, the more I've gained language for it. I was molested starting at the age of 3. I started being raped by the age of 6. I started being molested first by a woman. I'm saying woman, but she was a teenager at the time and I was a toddler. So I kind of consider her an adult in my mind. And it just continued on to she started making me do various sexual activities with her that I did not want to do. But because that interaction and that sexual exchange was so normalized for me since a young age, when Amel started raping me as well, I actually didn't know what was happening. I didn't have language for anything that was happening to me. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to explain it. It wasn't until I was a teenager, like 11 or 12, I distinctly remember the moment it all came full circle, and I realized that I've been being raped since I was 3. Um, I was distinctly listening to TLC, Dear Lie, and I broke down crying because I was listening to the lyrics, and then what they were saying was essentially everything that was happening as far as somebody try to gaslight you to pretend that they're not hurting you, that this is actually love when they're actually trying to actively destroy you. And at that time,
Wow.
my sister and I also watched Lolita, and she explained to me what rape is, what child grooming is, what pedophilia is. Like she explained all those things, all those terminologies, and I got to see it in the like on TV acted out. So I was like, I kind of been doing what Lolita been doing since I was a kid with adults.
So you had to really kind of understand the terminology first.
Yes, but I always was in fear of those people because
Hmm.
even once I finally told the truth when I was 17 about what happened to me, my siblings started to recall. Well, I do remember when we was trying to make Akeem go with that person. He was like, "I don't want to go with them. I want to stay here."
Hmm.
Like me actively trying to stay away from these people because they was doing something to me that I didn't know what they was doing. I just know I didn't like it.
So you could, as a child, you could feel that it was wrong, what was
Hmm.
happening, or was it just that whatever it is that was being done to you, you just did not like it, or was it a
Um,
combination of the two?
I didn't realize what was it. I didn't. Let me see how I can explain this. I started to realize this is not supposed to be happening to me when I was forced to have sex when I was 6 years old with the woman, and I was like,
Oh my
"This,
God.
we've never done this before." It just was like kissing, and I'll just rub on her breast, or just like just something basically not something that children are not supposed to do with adults, but I was doing with adults just to kind of get me normalized to it while we playing games and things like that. So
Wow.
once I realized what was going on to me, it created a sense of terror because I didn't know how my family was going to react. Didn't know if anybody would believe me because as they was doing these things to me, they knew it was rape because they always was saying, if you tell anybody, nobody's going to believe you. So they knew what they was doing was wrong. They was just trying to convince me that it was okay and that nobody's going to believe you if you say anything anyway, so just keep your mouth shut. And if everything was fine, I would have never been told to keep my mouth shut. So all those things come back to me because when you're growing up, you're taught to just do what you're told. So I'm being told to keep my mouth shut. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because every time I talk at that time, I was getting hit. Also, growing up as a child, my parents was extremely physically abusive. Even when I asked questions, just normal questions a child would ask will result in violence in some way, shape, or form. So at that point, I just listened to what people said because I knew that if I just listened, the pain would be over eventually.
Do you think that that's one of the reasons that you decided to take up martial arts?
Yes, that's actually specifically the reason I took up martial arts. Um, I I had a speech impairment growing up. Um, I was being raped at the same time where kids started to physically bully me at the same time for my speech impairment. So when my mom asked me if I wanted to do martial arts, I jumped at the chance because I knew that if I would ever get raped again, I would be able to defend myself. Um, Spoiler alert, that did happen when I was 15 when the male tried to rape me again, and I had to basically fight him. So it did come in handy, thank God. But essentially that's why I started martial arts when I was 10.
Right, because it's kind of like this is not gonna happen to me. I know how to defend myself if
Yeah, because
someone was to
the
try to
thing at
do it.
that time, I was filled with so much terror that I didn't know what to do. I like everybody's bigger than me. Like how I'm going to fight all these people that's bigger than me? Because if everybody decides to hit me like they used to do when I used to talk back, everybody used to just start hitting me in my family. Didn't know
Oh
where the licks was
wow.
coming from. So it was like, okay, so I need to learn how to fight. I need to learn how to fight more than one person at one time, and then that was it. I was
Wow.
like, I
Wow.
need to go to martial arts. I'm getting jumped at school. I need to go. I need to figure this out.
How did you convince your parents to pay for you to do that? Or was it something
I,
that you
I
did in
guilt tripped
school or
them.
what?
I guilt tripped them about their divorce. Real life. I guilt tripped them about their divorce. I was like, well, if y'all was together, y'all would be able to afford for me to do the things I want to do. Because remember, at this time, it was specifically in the line where I was asking my parents to do extracurricular activities, and they was telling me no, left and right. Asked to join the choir, no. Asked to do gymnastics, no. Asked to learn to swim, no. Everything was a no, no, no. At that time, I'm thinking they're just being mean. I didn't realize that we're poor. We just can't afford those things. So after so many no's, I was like, I'm just gonna start guilt tripping and start throwing the fact that they're gonna do a divorce in their face. And that's how I got into martial arts.
So, Akeem, in your past, it seems like you had low self-esteem also. What would you say attributed to that?
The things that the people that was raping me, what they would tell me, like they would always tell me that I was ugly, then, I was one of the ugliest children that I ever seen, things like that. But then when I look back now, I realized that I was an extremely adorable child, extremely, extremely attractive, which is probably why I was being raped since I was 3. So yeah, I realized once I was 18 and I was working at Wendy's, and then somebody came through the drive-thru and was like, hey, do you want to be a model? I was like, sure. And then I was a model. And I was like, how the fuck am I a model if I'm ugly and all this other shit?
Right.
So.
I was just telling Courtney the other day that I thought I was extremely ugly as a child. And when I grew up, I thought I grew out of it. And I was like, oh, I grew out of it. And then recently people have started sending me pictures from when I was a teenager and before. And I told
You
her,
look the same.
I look exactly the same. I'm like, and it's my perception that changed. So yeah, I get that. I understand.
And half
that.
the time when kids were saying, oh, you ugly and stuff, they, in all actuality, right? Because this is just me being Judge Judy. They were actually the ones that was not attractive.
Right. Right.
Or perhaps they were actually attracted to you.
That also, because some of the dudes on the football team that used to pick on me also, when I was in high school, tried to get me to suck their dick, and I had to beat them the fuck up. I'm like, whoa, that's a change from just picking on somebody to you trying to accost me underneath the staircase by ourselves. What the fuck is going on? You big muscular dude. Martial arts kick in. Boom. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the fuck?
Wow. Do you think that being sexually assaulted as a kid by both male and female, do you think that had anything to do with you choosing to be bisexual? Or do you feel like it's just like you just were?
I don't know, because the thing is, since I was being raped since I was being molested and touched and raped since such a young age, I have to go back to my first innocent interactions with children when I was a children. And I was kissing both girls and boys. So I don't, but it's just when I kissed the boy, I got in trouble for it. But when I was in kindergarten having 2 wives and having a 3-way kiss, that was fine. I was pimping. You know what I'm saying?
That's how it's set up. That's exactly how
it was set up. And that's why I was like, well, I just think I've always been bi. And I just, that discovery that, me having my first time with somebody, all that stuff was just taken away from me. But I honestly,
that's horrible.
Don't, like, the way I am as a human being, I'm not ready to have sex until I'm ready to have sex with somebody. I don't care what you're working with, I'll work that out once we get to that point. That's basically how I operate.
Right. And once you realize your sexuality, how did you feel about it? Like when you really sat there and said, wow, I am bisexual and this is something like that is socially not accepted.
My mom was the one that first just didn't accept it. She made me think that it was like I was going to be a social pariah. People would never talk to me. I would never be able to be in a relationship with nobody. I need to pick one. All these things. I'm gonna catch HIV and die. I'm gonna be one of those little faggots on the street. All those things that was said to me by mainly my mom. Looking back, my mom was the only one that told me those things. Everybody else, when I told them I was bi, just said okay. My
Oh,
mom
wow.
honestly was the first person to ever try to gay bash me because she came after me with a baseball bat when I told her. So it's like it's kind of hard for me.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of hard to function in life when the first person that gay bash you is the person that you came from.
Wow.
So when you functioning from that standpoint, everything mainly a lot of people are pretty nice to me. With that experience, other human beings are pretty nice. Everybody else I told didn't react by trying to kill me. So
Wow.
um, that's when I kind of knew that some people wouldn't be okay, and because of that, I let my mom kind of push me back into the closet. I guess she didn't want me to be out and proud in high school, but she didn't have a choice once I went to college because my freshman year in college, I was going buck wild. Akeem was having sex with everybody.
Akeem,
Look,
you have to, you have to tell everybody that, Akeem.
it was stupid, like for real. Like it was. I had women that I was dealing with. I had dudes from one dude played football, another like it was just random. Like college was random, randomness.
That's,
It was so confused.
wow.
Like all my friends that were straight didn't know I was bi until like after college.
Oh, so you was doing on the low creep.
I was on the low creep but open. It's so funny because it's like I'm not trying to hide what I'm doing. I was like in the fucking computer lab on A for A where all the black people in there talk. Like I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? So if you was looking, you can see. Like I was on A for A while I was in the architecture builder doing my project, and one of black girl came back. She was like, "Oh my god, I didn't know you was gay." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not. I just like boys and girls." "Oh, you bi?" Well, that's I'm not trying to hide it. I'm just not going around saying, "Hey, did you know that I'm bi?" In case you didn't know.
Right.
Hey, excuse me.
So,
I know you eating your breakfast and you don't even know me, but I'm bisexual. Hey, excuse me. Like
so
that's
with
not gonna happen.
the people that you were in relations with, did you disclose that to them, or
Yep,
did you?
eventually.
Oh, you said. Oh, it's
Yeah. Most of
eventually.
them most of the women broke up with me afterwards. But it's what it is.
Yeah, because that's one thing. That's one struggle that I had was having to choose and figure out which side I wanted to pick, and me not.
What I learned is by if I would just be honest with myself and say I like both, I might get a lot of no's from both because a lot of gay men ironically don't like dating bisexual men either. Um, and ironically, the my partner is bi. It's like the only person I was able to date seriously was somebody else that was bisexual that feels the same way that I feel. Um, and
Right.
it's just a number game, just like all dating. Like right now, me and my husband have a girlfriend. For both of us, you just keep on asking until somebody say yes. That's
And
7 billion
somebody,
human beings.
yeah. But I chose like, okay, well, let me stay here because that's pretty much society made me choose stay
Mm-mm.
here and not,
I made it a
you
point.
know,
I made it a point that I like what I like, and if I want to have sex with a woman, I'm going to have sex with that woman. I'm not going to just say I'm not going to do it because I like men. Mm-mm. I'll let her know I use a condom. It'll be absolutely safe.
right.
We
I
won't be
feel you on
look. We won't be exchanging no fluids, just pleasure here.
that. And then the look in the camera, I can't stand it at all.
So how long would you say that it took your family to come around to you being bisexual?
Well, me and my mom currently don't have a relationship, and we're not talking to each other ever. Um, like ever. Like I don't call her. Both our numbers blocked on each other's phones. Like no
Oh,
communication. Next time I'm going to see her is when she's ashes because she wants to be cremated. I'm fine.
oh no.
And that's just based off. I mean, I kind of sprinkled that in to like my stories. You could kind of hear how my mom was like, mm, not necessarily the most positive voice in my ear. And I've just
Mhm.
gotten to the point in my life where I don't need people try to break me down, especially someone that claims to be my mom. So
Would you saying that do you forgive her and you just love her from a distance
no,
or
I actually don't. Like it took, and the thing that it took me a long time to realize is that I actually don't love my mom. I
oh no.
appreciate my mom. I appreciate her
Okay.
having me. I appreciate her trying to raise me, even though she failed miserably. I appreciate her trying. Because of her belligerence and her pride and her refusal to acknowledge her mistakes and her refusal to repair the things that she broken, I can't love her. I can appreciate her, but I can't honestly say that I love you because I don't. Somebody that's hurt me the way that you hurt me, I can't love you. I could be indifferent towards you because that's the opposite of love, and that's it. I appreciate you. I appreciate you from afar. I appreciate you in silence, but do I love you? No.
Do you
Right.
think that you feel that way because maybe you didn't feel like you were loved by her?
Exactly. Once I realized that her love was conditional, my love became conditional. I realized they always said that like how a child feels about their mother and how the mother feels about their child is unconditional. The greatest lesson my mother taught me is that that is an absolute lie. All love comes with conditions, including hers. So I put my love on her condition. As long as she's homophobic and hates everything I stand for, I can't love her. Because if I'm loving my
Right.
enemy, then who needs enemies?
Right.
Oh,
Man,
And
that
that's
is
just
such
the
a
reality. And like, no, I'm
yeah.
like people. The people try to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, people, why are you sorry? I've been sleeping like a baby ever since. I slept so hard one night, I peed in the bed. Like, please,
I
I'm getting
can
so much sleep. I'm getting so much sleep. There's no need to apologize. And I actually implore other people who have toxic parents to just cut them out of your life. Because honestly, if you keep that in your life, that toxicity is only going to infect you. And you're going to resent that person for making you feel that way. And you're going to resent yourself for allowing yourself to continue to let that person make you feel that way. My mom has been treating me like this since she found out I was bi. That's when I was 17. I'm 33 now. Her behavior has not changed. That means her behavior is not going to change. So it's up to me to decide how I'm going to respond to that because I'm an adult in this situation. She might not have been the adult when it was her chance to be an adult, but now I'm an adult now.
you're
And I don't have
protecting
to listen,
yourself.
and I can protect myself as an adult. And
Mm.
that's the reality. When I told my mom I was raped, she didn't want me to go to the police. I decided to go to the police anyways, and she made me lie to the police. And then after she left, I told the police and gave them a hidden written confession because she really made me recant to them. And then they knew that she was making me recant because she didn't want to be in the room when I was recanting.
Wow.
So it's
that's
like, so it's like when I really start to think about my mom and our relationship, I don't love her. I appreciate you, and that's where it stops. I'm not going to pretend I love you because it's not there.
yeah. Again, like for me, that's such a hard pill to swallow. And
And it was too. And it took me a minute to realize that the reason I was feeling the way I was, the reason I was upset, it's because I was swallowing that pill. And it was such a hard pill to swallow. It took me a few
right.
years to swallow that pill.
Hmm.
That pill was so hard to swallow, and I cried every moment when that pill was going down. But once that pill was finally in my stomach, I was able to digest what that pill was trying to tell me. You actually don't love your mother. You're upset because she refused to love you. And because she refused to love you, you no longer love her. And you're upset that that's your relationship where you see so many queer people out there with good relationships with their mom. So you feel like something about me was wrong to where I couldn't make my own mom love me. That's not me. That's her. That's her sin. That's her purgatory she's going to be in. That's not mine. Her purgatory is going to be her reliving all the terror that she gave her children until her last child dies and let her out. And I'm her last child. And guess who's going to leave her in purgatory? That's
Wow.
her life. That's not mine.
Oh, that's heavy. That is heavy.
But that's homophobia in the Black community. And that's why I made a concerted effort to start talking about it more in my poetry, because we don't want to talk about that. That's a touchy topic. Everybody wants to hear the story about the Black mother that accepts their child. Well, I could tell you from talking to other gays, there's a lot of Black mothers that don't love their child because of it. My mom was like, I like everything about you but this. Then you don't like me. You actively
Mm-hmm.
hating me. You can't love me if you actively hate me, period. And I actively hate the fact that you hate me, so I can't love you.
Mm.
That's fine. And we came to a mutual agreement. She was like, well, I'm tired of talking to you too. I don't want to talk to you ever. Because all I told my mom is that I'm not going to continue to talk to you until you apologize and come to terms with the things that you've done to me. And she just said that she's not going to do that. Then I'm like, then there's no need for us to talk. Why are you talking to me then at this point? Because you feel like everything you did in your mind to me was right and justified, and that's the way that it's supposed to happen. To the point where she gave advice to my sister-in-law to kick my niece out the house because she told her mom that she was gay. Because my mom told her that's the way that it's supposed to go. So now because I decided to try to have a relationship with my mom telling other people this is the way you treat your queer child, causing harm to other queer people. So I have to stand in my own truth and I have to stand in my own example. I can't let her think that's okay because she's telling other people that's okay. And she's harming other queer people in my family. So that's a no.
Yeah.
And I have
Yeah.
to, and that's why I made it very public when I started talking to my mom because I wanted the entire family to know that that's what it is now, and
Yeah.
that's what y'all need to know.
One thing that like I was fortunate because like my mom was like, I don't like all of that, but nigga, I love you. And I love you the same way I did before you told me this.
My mom
And
never told me
so
no such thing. No,
yeah, so
no, not in any type of phrase. The closest thing she came to it was she screamed at me that she accepted me, that I need to just let the shit go because I accept you now. Shit. But yet every time I talk to you, you still doing your homophobic jokes and stuff, thinking I'm just gonna laugh it off,
right.
and I'm
Mm,
not.
So she would prefer that you just not speak about it.
Yeah, but that's not the way that life works.
right.
That's the reason why the Black community is the way it is now with the queer community,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody wants us to keep it a secret and not be seen. That thought came from white people.
Right. And
That that
also,
that that the black person's um acid towards homosexuals, that comes from how we was stolen, how we was put into chattel slavery, and the things that did to us in chattel slavery, including stuffing white Jesus down our throat, and then use white Jesus as the justification to further divide us amongst ourselves. So that's just the reality of history. But when you say that, people's like, "Oh no, he's crazy. He's talking about too much. I can't listen to this." It's the truth. It's history. It's just history.
right. And I think that that's very true. How they use like homosexuality to kind of divide us, to so where we kind of look at it and say, because I know people that won't, they don't want to be friends with people who are um, of the LGBTQIA plus community. They don't want to be friends with them, and it's not because of who they are. It's because of how they live their life, and they can love that person. I'm gonna say love, but they can really like being around that person, but then they don't want to be seen around that person
This is
because
the thing
of
that
what
get
other
me.
people would think.
Or are they the one that have to suck a dick or eat a cat? Are you the one that got to bend over and get some dick or put your dick in somebody else? Is that you? then why do you care? Let's talk
Boy.
about that. Let's unpack that. Why do you care so much about who I'm fucking on my private time? Why do you feel like you deserve to know?
Right. And you know what,
What
Akeem?
happened in your life that makes you feel like that's information that you're justified to know?
Right. And
Let's
they want
unpack.
to know. They want to know a lot of stuff. It is so uncomfortable when they start asking questions of what it is that they want to know. And you looking like, what? Like, I would never ask you that. They want you to go in, be very detailed about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, Akeem, name a person that you think had a huge impact on your on who you are as a person.
I would say my older brother.
Mhm.
My older brother, he lives in California now. Throughout my life, I remember a similar thing happened, and this is the real tea. This is why I'm upset with my mom. The same man that raped me also raped my older brother. My older brother is 10 years older than me, right? When my older brother told my mom as soon as it happened, she believed the rapist, and then she sent my brother off 300 miles to go live with his daddy for starting trouble. At
Damn.
that point, you knew that this guy, if he wasn't a rapist, he was accused of raping somebody. And yet, what you did? No, Akeem, you need to go by Corey's house. Go by his house. Pushing me towards this man for him to rape me. After he already got away with raping one of your other sons, so of course you gonna think he could rape another one. Because he already raped the first one and he didn't do shit about it.
Damn.
And that's the realty. And my mom won't, and she won't take acknowledgement of that. And she was like, well, that's not my fault. It very much is. Especially when
Wow.
one of your children is trying to protect the other ones and you just like, nah, let them be raped. And I think part of that comes from my mom being raped as a child and no one doing anything about it. So she feels that when it happens to her children, no one should be doing anything about it. And that's probably why all her children have been touched in various shapes and ways.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. I think that may have a lot to do with it.
So, and the
Yeah.
thing is, she refuses to unpack that. And I'm like, if you're not going to unpack that, if you're not going to get to the root of what the problem is, then we don't need to talk. Because one thing that she did do, she put me in therapy when I told her I was bi, because she thought that therapy would fix me. But all therapy did was made me okay with who I am.
Hmm.
Mm.
So it backfired on her because she thinking therapy it was like some conversion shit. She picked the wrong therapist for me to go to. She fucked up
Oh, she picked the right one.
and didn't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Because now you
And the
are
reason I
able to
put it
be
in there
free
because
with
she
who
told me
you
she's going to
are.
take me to a therapist so they could fix me.
Yeah.
And the first thing when I told the therapist that, she was like, after telling her, she was like, well, baby, you're not broken. Everybody around you is broken and they don't know how to deal with it. And because they didn't know how to
Wow.
deal with it, they broke you. And what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how you're going to deal with it so you don't break anybody else. That's
Oh,
the first
that
thing
is.
Oh,
Dr. Would ever told me. The opening conversation. It will stick with me for the rest of my life.
wow.
And it's true that hurt other people, even if it's
Yes,
their
it
children.
is. That is so true.
Wow. So, what are some causes that you advocate for?
LGBTQ rights, equality for all things. I I'm an opponent of homophobia in the Black community. I speak out against it a lot. Um, I'm completely against domestic violence. It's something I've done numerous talks on. I've written numerous poems about. I've experienced it through witnessing my mom and dad have domestic instances, and the first dude I ever seriously dated tried to kill me. So I also experienced it on a first-hand basis. So I talk about that a lot. Those are like my main topics of, I want to say, lived expertise, along with like social issues. I have a minor in sociology, so I try to use that as much as possible. Whenever I'm doing my work or doing anything, just always trying to keep that same conversation going until I reach a conclusion of it.
Mm.
What
Oh.
is what do you stand for? What's your golden rule?
Um, you can't be honest with me unless you're honest with yourself.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be honest with yourself, then we could talk. For example, my sister, she told me about a week and a half ago that she was mad at me. And I knew she was mad at me because of what I told my mom, how I treated her, and how I flipped it on her. So now my mom have no other person to take her rage out on but my sister. And she feels like I left her there. I'm like, but why are you mad at me because of what somebody else doing to you? It seems like you
Mm.
have misplaced anger. Let's unpack that because what have I done to make you upset at me? Well, we haven't had an argument and stuff since we was kids. So why are you mad at me? Did
Mm.
I embarrass the family publicly by getting arrested? Did I embarrass the family publicly by molesting children? Because that's what a lot of our cousins, that's how they embarrassed our family, and that's how they're complaining to me about the situation. Like me just talking about my mom's homophobia is equal to them committing an actual crime and doing actual time in jail. So why are you mad at me? And she couldn't answer. So this morning when we talked, she didn't talk about why she was mad at me because she realized she don't have any reason to be.
Mm.
She mad at me because my mom wanted her to be mad at me. Let her be mad because that's her anger. That's her look. Like I said, that's her bed that she got to lay in, that she has to unpack.
Right. So
And
hey,
the thing
what
is,
moment?
I just hope she unpack it because I'm not going to be there to ever say it. I don't. I, honestly, it's too late. I gave you your chance, and you threw it in my face. And then after
Hmm.
that, what do you want me to do? Because if I keep
Right.
on going back to be abused, then whose fault is that?
Hmm.
Mm.
I know
So
you're
what
going to
moment?
abuse me. If I keep on going back, whose fault?
Right. So Akeem, what moment in your childhood made you know that you was gonna be the Akeem that you are today?
Absolutely. I want to say my 11th grade year Black History program. I was charged with getting the poets in the school together to make a Black History poem about multiple Black people in a group poem setting. And this is when I was 16. And I was able to pull it off to the point where um, the next year, when the New Orleans team or the New Orleans youth scene decided to send a team to Brave New Voices for the first year, I was named team captain and automatically on the team just based on what I did with this Black History program that became wildly popular all around the school. The poem we did was shown on the news, so everybody in the city knew about the poem that we did because that's how good it was. Apparently, I thought it was just okay compared to the stuff I've done since. Uh, but that's when I knew that I think I might have like a future seriously in poetry instead of me just like writing poems, for myself. I might actually be able to do this on a semi-professional way, I guess.
Right.
Well, we
Cool.
asked you for three words to describe you now in the present, and those words were calm, which is freedom from agitation, excitement, or passion; tranquil or serene. You say cunning, and that is artful, uh, artfully subtle or screwed, crafty, sly. And you said experience, which is having learned through experience or taught by experience.
And it sounds like your old strategic self taught you your cunning ways.
Hmm.
So what experience made you reach back and grab a little bit of old Akeem?
Um, I've always been the same Akeem. That's the thing. That's not really an old Akeem because it's. I guess for me to be an old Akeem, I would have to no longer have any of those experiences that the old Akeem had, and then this Akeem would have to have all brand new experiences for me to say I have an old Akeem. So that's not
Mm.
really an old me. I like to say I'm the same person that I've always been, even though I know that's not true. I know that I've grown in lots of ways. I'm a lot less immature, a lot less misogynistic, um, and I love myself a lot more now than I ever have all my life. So,
Mhm.
um, if I was to say something that I did, learn the difference, learn how to. Okay, I would say this: in architecture school, my freshman year, one of the things that they want us to do is to read something and then to perceive more information from just what you was given, right? Now, mind you
Mhm.
not, all the stories and stuff that I told you about my mom, a lot of that information was given to me from other people in my family, like my brother, like my cousins, like all that information was fed to me. And I had to put that all together in order to figure out what the actual truth is. And
Mhm.
that's a skill that I've always been using ever since then. It's like, okay, what is being seen? Well, what's not being said?
Right.
Well, what is the actual truth? Let's pull this together. And that
Mm-hmm.
is like the one thing that I would say remain consistent. I always try to look at multiple angles and pull it together and figure out from that truth how I'm going to react to it.
What made you notice your self-worth?
Me being a model and people gawking
Mhm.
at me. That might sound real superficial, but for somebody with such deep self-esteem issues that I had because of what happened to me and how I was treated, it was that type of flattery and that type of attention that just never fell on me before. It did something to how I thought about myself. Because I was like,
Yeah.
well, if all these strangers that I've never met before is flocking to me and thinking I'm sexy and asking me for my numbers and all this other stuff, then apparently the way I've been looking at myself all this time must have not been correct. Because these people I think are stupid attractive. Like on a normal day, I would have never thought I would be able to talk to them. Turns out I can.
Hmm.
Who knew?
Oh.
My first girlfriend in college was the former Miss Louisiana that went to the college.
Hmm.
My
Oh
freshman year
wow.
girlfriend was a beauty queen, and I was called ugly by all these other people. So that's when and it was during that time, as superficial as it might sound, that's why I was like, I think I'm worth a lot more than what people are telling me. I think I am a
Yeah.
lot more than what people are telling me. And I need to
Right.
figure out what I am so nobody can't tell me what I am. I'm going to tell them who I am.
My goodness.
And that's
You
what made
know.
me start trying to figure that out. As superficial as it might sound, it started as something superficial, but I took it and I internalized it. I was like, what does this mean? Why am I feeling
Right.
this way?
I don't
No,
Also,
think
I
it's
didn't want it
very.
to go to my head.
I don't really think it's
great.
superficial because I just feel like those people giving you that attention just kind of made you look within yourself to and made you ask yourself like, what is it that they see in me that I
Hmm.
don't see in myself?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Right. I was gonna say the same thing, Courtney. Look at that. So look, I know that you are recently married. So tell us how y'all met. Like, was the grounder? No, I'm just playing.
I'm so dumb.
Um, so it was not grinder.
Oh my god.
It was jacked.
It was.
Oh.
Let's start there.
Oh my
Two,
god.
the reason why he saw my profile was because at that time I was working Uber and Lyft. And you know, Jack, once you open it one time, it keeps on updating even though you're not in the profile. So at
Right.
that time, I was living on the West Bank and he was visiting town and he was staying in the East. And all this is in New Orleans. Now, from the West Bank to the East is about 32 miles. So it's no way that if I would have just stayed home that particular day and didn't work, that my partner would have seen my profile because I was 32 miles away.
Mm.
He would have like seen so many people, before he even got to me. But because I was working
Mhm.
Uber and Lyft, he was like, "Oh, hey, such and such. He was like, well, I'm going to go smoke at the lake. I was like, how you just going to have this conversation with me, say you're going to go smoke at the lake, and just not invite me to smoke with you? How does that work? And Pop, like all things, I had mild intentions to hook up with him, but his face looked familiar, and I couldn't spot where I recognized his face from.
Because
So
it
I
looked
was
like
like,
yours.
no, it wasn't that. Because our faces actually look pretty different. And every time somebody say that, I'm like, you're being so racist. You're being so racist saying all black people look alike. You are
Brother, I
being
didn't say that. Brother, I
so
think,
racist. We're not even the same skin tone. We don't have the same nose. We don't have the same forehead. We don't have the same head shape. We don't have the same size lips. We don't have the same smile. We don't have the same teeth shape. So you're just being racist, literally racist, by saying that we look alike. But the reason he looked familiar is because I had a dream that I was that I was in the future with them, and I was referring to him as my husband. And I didn't know if I was just playing or if I was for real. So when I was basically working Uber and Lyft, and we were supposed to meet at a bar. So I get to the bar 3 minutes early because I was like, okay, this is the guy from the dream. I can't embarrass myself by being late. But then when it was time for us to meet, I go in and he's not there. I call him. I was like, hey, I've been in here since 9. I waited 5 minutes thinking, you might have just been running late or you still on your way. Oh, I already left. Well, how you left if we were supposed to meet at 9? Oh, I didn't think you was really coming. I was like, well, I'm here. So he started walking back. And I was like, well, let me come meet you because at that time, some people, I'm going to be extremely honest because this is tell the truth. Some white people in New Orleans was mugged by black teenagers. And then, so that means that every police officer was going to be hemming up anybody that looked black all night until they found the perpetrators because that's just the way New Orleans rock. So I was like, you know what, that's dangerous. Just heard on the news that, these white people got robbed. There's some black boys on the bike. Let me come pick you up. And apparently at that time, a surge happened because when that news came out, everybody was trying to call for Uber and Lyft so they could get the fuck out the streets. So when I finally got to him, there was this Caucasian couple that apparently ordered a Lyft from a car that looked just like mine. When they saw my car, they tried to, I pulled up to him and they literally walked in front of him and opened the door. It was like, hey, are you a Lyft for such and such? I was like, no, ma'am, I'm for him. My exact words, I'm for him. And then he got in my car and I was like, I don't want to sound you to think that I'm crazy, but I just want to let you know that you're going to be my husband one day. So just be prepared.
Oh, wow. Well, with that being said,
he was like, for real? I was like, I'm just telling you, I just received the message and I'm just relaying the message as I see fit. Don't shoot the messenger. It's just what it is. And now 3 years later, we are married.
So what is married life like?
The same as it was before.
Really?
That's the thing. Absolute. For me, nothing has changed. I still love him the same way I did before. We still act the same way towards each other. I feel like we're a lot more relaxed now because we have paperwork on us, so we know it's going to be extremely difficult for the other person to leave. But other than that, we left off that impending dread of your partner leaving you that everybody have. Honestly, whenever you're with somebody and things are getting serious, you always have a fear in the back of your head that the other person is going to leave you. You would not be human if that was not in the back of your head. Everybody thinks that. So that thought is not anything far-fetched. And because I was actually talking to a straight couple who had a similar emotional change in that way, was that the fear of the other person leaving left after we got married. Even though people could always get a divorce, but just that fear that, okay, at least I'm married and this is how I'm going to spend the rest of my life. That thought is so calming and so soothing, and it take a lot of stress out of your love life.
Because that's why I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life. Because I don't want nobody to leave, so I ain't gonna let them come.
I actually didn't think I would ever marry a dude. I actually thought that even though I had that dream, I was like, that was just probably something I ate. I'm probably gonna marry a woman and have children, and that's just gonna be it. But life told me something different. So,
Does your family acknowledge, other than your mom, does your family acknowledge your marriage to a man?
my mom acknowledged it too. She don't have a choice. Um, like if the government acknowledge it, how can you not? Like it's absolutely legal. I already have on road, baby. It's on the table. We could do it after we eat, so we can enjoy it more. My interview almost over. My husband waiting for this to be over so we can eat.
Do you two plan to have any children?
Yes, we are actually looking for surrogates and egg donors now.
Oh.
Mm.
But we're trying to do it on the slick because we don't want to be just tacky and put out an open message like, hey, we need a uterus if we need some eggs. We don't volunteer. Like we don't want to be those people. So we just like asking some friends that we know, yeah, hey, would you donate an egg for a boy to fertilize in the
Right.
petri dish?
Wow. So describe an experience that you've had working in a homophobic environment.
One time I had to go to a church for essentially to see how that congregation worked. And I'm an architect by profession. Essentially to see how that congregation works so I could design a new sanctuary for them. And the message of the church that day was hoes that don't need to be hoeing and these gays that don't need to be gay. And I'm like, when I told my boss that, she was like, Akeem, I am so sorry. I did not think he was that type of pastor before I sent you there. And she was like, what did you do? Look at him like he was stupid and didn't clap. And then afterwards signed the contract and took his money. Because one thing I like to do is spend homophobic people money. So that's one thing I'm about to do. I'm about to have this man give me my check. And then I didn't let him know that I was bi until after I finished the project. Because he's just like, oh, brother, will you be returning us back to church? I was like, oh, no, I won't. And this is why. But here's your project.
Funny.
Akeem, look into the camera and respond to a person who says that because you are gay, you aren't a real man.
I can't because no one has ever told me that. I would say your mother's a man. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm like, your mother was a real man too. Like, I don't know. You know, I'm from New Orleans, so I'm pretty sure I would just start ribbing because that's what we do.
Right, y'all pretty much rib in New Orleans.
Yeah,
and
I don't have
also,
a problem. I don't have a problem talking shit to strangers, like at all.
So, describe for me a moment that you felt like you failed terribly.
Describe them.
Describe a moment that you feel like you failed terribly.
That I failed terribly?
Uh-huh.
I would say when I was 15, I was a follower before I was a leader, and I was trying to be friends with older classmates on the band trip and follow behind them and steal from the theme park like them. But I got caught. And when I got caught, I didn't rat them out because, you know, they say snitches get stitches. So once I got back to the school, everybody that I was following behind and stealing behind started to spread nasty rumors about me. Talking about Joaquin was just stealing everything. I don't know what possessed him to steal. But I was following behind y'all niggas. So that taught me a lot about human beings and realized that I don't need to fuck with nobody. And people would still know me. And that's just based on how, now I know it's just based on my poetry. But I was like, people were still giving me attention in high school. And I didn't realize it's because I hit puberty, hit my stride, grew facial hair, and people thought I was attractive. I didn't find out half the girls had a crush on me in high school until after high school was over, when it was absolutely useless and I could do nothing with that information.
Right. I almost felt like the girls that came to me and told me they were attracted to me in school was only because they had went through all the other niggas. And so now they want
Oh
to
my
try me when
God.
I'm grown. That's what I thought. I was like, man, you don't like me.
No, it wasn't like that. To be honest with you, half the girls at my school I didn't think was too pretty. Anyways, no shade. Some of them I did, but the majority of them wasn't. Most of the girls that wasn't was popular, and that's just the reality. I was like, why are these ugly people? They think they're popular. Why is that the case? Like I was bamboozled. I couldn't figure it out. It was a very confusing time for me because I was like, how does this work? Because apparently you could be ugly as fuck and still be told you're attractive because you're light skinned.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of people in school who were, to me, not attractive, but they were very popular, and they got a lot of attention and dated a lot of people. And I'm looking like, how?
Half those people in high school I don't even remember, to the point where one time somebody, I was vending for a friend of mine, selling her clothes, and somebody from high school was like, came up, asked me some things and then, about the products, and then I told him, and then he was like, okay, and then I was like, all right, and then moved on to the next customer without saying anything, like he was a normal person. And then he came back, was like, you don't remember me, do you? I was like, and then at first I thought I was like, did I fuck this dude? Like, did I honestly like fuck this dude and like don't know who the fuck he is? And he was like, "Oh no, I'm Jello. I was the football. He played football or some shit in high school." And I was like, "I don't know." He was like, "For real, Akeem, you don't remember me?" Um, no, like dead serious. And one, I was never really friends with him. We had a few classes together, and we never had a conversation. So I was like, I don't know why he would think that you would stick out in my head. I know why I was sticking out in his head, because 11th grade is when I started performing poetry and everybody just knew me as the poetry guy.
Mhm.
Our football team was losers, like they lost. So I was like, I don't understand why you would think I will remember a losing team.
Hmm. Yeah, I think yeah, some people are so egotistical that they think, oh, you gonna remember me because I was popular even though I never said anything to you. That's crazy.
Nah, memory don't work like that. Memories definitely do not work like that.
Right. So
What would your what
go
would
ahead,
your
go ahead.
childhood self I'm sorry, what would your childhood self what would you tell your childhood self? Like what advice would you give?
Um, Go talk to the police and don't tell your parents.
Hmm.
Mm.
Wow.
And then he would ask
So
me why, and I was like, because your parents know what's going on and they don't care. Go talk to the police.
hmm.
Mm.
So
And
dang,
now
that's all.
I mean, it's my reality. Um,
Yeah.
that's just what I would have said.
So what's up with that new book? Where can we find it?
You could find that book by contacting me and buying one. You could cash at me at dollar sign Akeem Poetry. That's spelled AKEEM POETRY. Please include your name, and well, your name is going to be wherever your cash app name is. Um, so please have your government name or whatever your mailing name is. Or you can send me an email at akeem.poetry@gmail.com and ask me for all the ways you could purchase my book off my person. Now, you can also buy my book online through Amazon if you want to. That's fine. But I would prefer for you to buy it from me for two reasons. One, because I get to sign it, to personalize it for you. Two, Amazon doesn't give me my money into 90 days after your purchase.
What?
So it would help me as an artist if you just buy my book directly from me so I could get all the money I'm supposed to get on time.
Wow. So because you know I bought your book on Kindle, you still ain't got my money.
Oh no, that's not going to come till September.
Now I'm so mad because they got my money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
They definitely
Why
have
wow.
your
is
money.
that?
It's the way that it works. They have
No.
to do like a clearinghouse on it and put the taxes in, show it to the government, all this extra shit.
Right. I was just trying to get it early because it came on there first. Dang, I
It,
should have had patience.
no, it's fine. I'm glad you got it because let me tell you, when my book came out, I felt so good. I sold out of my book in one day. And the last time I had a chapbook, it took me a week to sell out. And that was me doing shows locally. This
Mm,
one, I couldn't do shows locally because of COVID-19, of course. And I just
right.
was doing stuff online. And so many people just supporting me online. I was like, I should have been just performing poetry online myself, with not worrying about Button, not worry about What About Now, anybody else's station. Just putting it out there. Go live, do Instagram, go live on Facebook, and just perform poetry for your fans that's following you, because they
Right.
will appreciate that and support that. I wish I would have knew
Right.
because I would have been doing it.
It does seem like a easier way to get out there. Plus, we've been
Not
featuring
it,
in places.
it's just easier
We
to contact people.
right, and we've been featuring in places and don't even have to go nowhere.
hmm
So,
Like I have a feature in DC in August
yeah.
online. Like
Right. That's what's
I
up.
had a feature
Well,
in Alabama online. Um, so yeah,
right. Well, thanks, Akeem. It's been a pleasure. But
no
before we
problem.
go, we need to get your social media info out there to the people. So,
You can find me on Instagram at Akeem Olaj. That's spelled AKEEM OLAJ. On Facebook by Akeem Olaj. On Twitter by Akeem underscore Olaj.
ooh, he got a
Really
lot.
consistent. Really consistent with the names.
Right.
When Facebook and Twitter and stuff was letting you pick the names, I was like, I'm going to be real specific early.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Cool, cool. And I see you about to tap into that seafood boil.
I've already been eating. I'm
Oh
already
yeah,
eating.
I feel you. Well, we want to thank everybody for watching. Shout out to Still Visionary Inc.
We are the
Shout
Birth
out
and
to
Truth
them.
Podcast. We are the Birth and Truth Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And we can be tweeted at Birthing Truth.
If you'd like to be a guest on Birth and True Podcast, just email us at birthandtruepodcast@gmail.com.
Stay tuned for episode 8.